it's one of those things that about Torah, you're always astounded there's more. You have that feeling, you have that experience where you're learning, and then you get back to the same place that you were either the year before or the last time you look at that sugya. You're like, how did I not know this entire world that was behind that sugya? And that's like the beauty of Torah. It's mamash. When we say Hashem is Ein Sof, and then we say Hashem like put himself into the Torah, it's like the Torah is mamash Ein Sof. It's unbelievable. So it's like probably the most well-known Nishtana is like, when I think of the Seder, I think Nishtana. I think that's like the chorus that we go to, Halayla Hazeh, Halayla Hazeh. Unless you go to Dayenu, and you have a lot of fun with Dayenu. And it's all in there. It's like the whole koach of what we're getting ready for and what happens on Pesach is hidden in one sentence in this whole place. So that's what I want to look at over here. The big vision is going to obviously be why is this night so special? Why is Leil Seder so special? And obviously, and that's going to go into the rest of Pesach, which will set us up into the Omer, which will set us up into Shavuos, which sets us up for our lives. And there's something special that happens on this night that is special. If you just look at the hashgacha of how Hashem set up the world, it's like everybody has a Seder or knows about a Seder, right? Even if you're like the furthest person from Torah, it's like people have heard of the Haggadah. People know what Passover is. It's a thing, like in the world. We don't fully lose a connection to that. Maybe not everybody goes to a Seder, but they know about it, right? We once had a guest here who said they were by us and he said, "Wow, this is my first Seder." And they were, I don't know, probably 24. And then they said, "No, not my first Seder. This is my first kosher Seder." And I said, "What do you mean?" And they said, "Well, last year, before they ended up in Eretz Yisrael, they went to a Seder which the main course was ham sandwiches." And I was like, oh my God. It's like, you're having bread with ham at a Seder. And then the other part of me is like, they were at a Seder. Yeah. For all you know, that's what got them to Eretz Yisrael. Like, who knows? You know what I mean? Right. That's like the beauty of how this whole thing works. So, and then obviously the way we understand the big vision of Pesach is the themes which we're going to see everywhere you look, no matter what you're learning, are going to be cherus, freedom. It's going to be emunah. It's going to be bitachon. It's our ability to live in a world and know that there's more. Whatever you see, that's certainly not where it ends. If anything, it's only where it begins. And that's what we're going to look at over here. So this is a Mishnah in Pesachim. And the Mishnah says, Mazgulo kos sheni. So we're going to set up the second cup of the evening. V'kan haben shoel aviv. And here the son asks his father, V'im ein das beben. And if the son is too young and he doesn't have das yet, Aviv malamdo, his father is going to teach him, Ma nishtana halayl hazeh mikol halaylos. What is different about this night from all other nights? So, there's a kasha in the kasha. There's a grammatical problem. Do we know what the grammatical problem of Ma nishtana halayla hazeh is?
Male and female side of the words.
Good. Right? Halayla is supposed to be female. Halayla is female. And we call it halayla hazeh. And that's a mistake. Apparently. It should say, Ma nishtana halayla hazos mikol leilos. Right? Laila, leilos, hazos. And yet we get a hazeh. So we could be probably like most people and just be like, whatever. That's fine. With the halayla hazos, halayla hazeh, it doesn't make a difference. And the Gra and the Bnei Yissaschar are going to say, if you say lav dafka to this halayla hazeh, you've literally missed Pesach. You might as well just go home. You get a consolation prize. Like you've missed it. Like the whole thing is basically batal. And
what's the difference between Lila and Lael? And why choose Leil this level?
Kenny, you always have to jump to the end of the shiur,
Is that
you
the end
know?
of it?
You always have to go on.
I
No,
didn't see
it's okay. It's okay. No, it's the right question. We won't go exactly to that chiluk, but Leil is the first half of the night. It's till chatzos. Lila is from chatzos on.
Oh, yeah.
Lila is colloquially how we express the whole evening, but when when we speak about Leil, we're speaking to the first half of the evening in Pshat, and Lila is the second half of the evening. Reason for that is because the hay, right, which is going to reflect Shem Hashem. Leil is Gematria 70, right? So that's going to be everything in this world, and the hay is going to be more of like, it's a tikkun, a hamtaka. It's giving das to something that on its own didn't have das. That's the way that the Ramchal explains it. So the first half of the night is when you're going towards darkness. Going towards darkness, you miss the hay. You don't even see the Shekhinah in the world. You don't see how things are working out. It's really dark. It's only getting darker. So everything moving towards Chatzos is Leil, right? It's the harder part of the night. And so metaphorically, when we see Leil, it's going to reference the darkest times of Gullus, right? And Lila is going to be the other side, right? It's going to be as we're moving towards the boker, because now there's a hay attached to it. I can see that we're moving towards light, we're moving towards the Kadosh Baruch Hu, and that's mitaken the whole thing.
Wow.
Yeah. So.
Kenny.
I didn't do anything.
Right. But colloquially, we'll say Lila
The homos nivko.
to say, huh?
The homos nivko. Don't prod the bear.
We'll say Lila, and we'll reference the whole night. But if your question was coming from somewhere, I assume.
Well, yeah, because I just saw that. I mean, you call it Leil Seder, and it's much not
Very
Leil
good.
Seder.
Very good. We call it Leil Seder. It's also called Leil Hashimurim, right? The Pasuk calls it Leil Hashimurim, right? So, and yet in other places it's called Halayla. In the same Pasuk, I think in Leil Hashimurim it says Halayla, right? So, it is both, and it's on this exact point that there's the machlokas in Brachos Daf Tes. What they darshan Halayla Hazeh, like, do we go till Chatzos or do we go to the morning? The whole night or not? Meaning they're darshaning what's taking place in the Laila. So, what's the ikr part of the night? And we know, right, al derech pshat, the ikr part of the night is till chatzos. It's like the darkest part, right? We want to finish everything, get it all done before chatzos, right? And then to some degree we go further. I once asked Rav Feldman what he does. On Erev Pesach, he was in Imre Shefer, and I didn't see him, but there was nobody there. Like Erev Pesach around 1 o'clock, or maybe it was 12 o'clock, so everyone's getting ready for Seder. And I was finishing learning, and I was walking out, and I was on the phone with my brother, and I said maybe I was a little walking. I only took the call because I was literally walking out the door of Imre Shefer from the upstairs minyan, and somebody on the inside thought I was talking to him, and I said, "No, I'm sorry, I'm on the phone." I turned around, it was just Rav Feldman sitting in Imre Shefer, and I was like, "I have to go."
I'm not on the phone.
And it took me about a minute of like pacing back and forth behind him before I figured out my series of questions that I wanted to ask him. And it was awesome. He was just sitting there learning Psachim Daf Tes, which is the sugya, or maybe it was Ches Grera Chulda. And I was like, "That's what you're doing on Erev Pesach. You're just sitting there learning a sugya about chazakas." Like, that's so geschmack. Anyway, and I spoke to him a few different things. And I asked him about, it was the first time we were leading a Seder. I asked him, what should be my kavanah in leading a Seder. He said, the most important thing you do when you're at a Seder is only let things come out of your mouth you're enthusiastic about. He said, that's the only thing that matters. He says, it's not about giving information, it's about bringing people up to inspiration. And he said, if you're not excited about it, it won't excite anybody. So it doesn't matter anyway. So... you want to be fully in there. And I asked him a few other questions, and then towards the end, I asked him what was his opinion about trying to finish everything before Chatzos. And he said, yes, you should finish everything before Chatzos. And I said, well, what about, we want to keep, have a longer Sudi, you want to spend more time in Magid, and he was like super stark. He was like, finish before Chatzos. That's what you should do. That's what we do. That's Minhag Yisrael. I hope that's the halacha. I said, what about the Tanai? There's a Tanai. He was like, finish before Chatzos. Like that was it. I was like, it was done. Anyway, there was more to that conversation, and it was beautiful. But then right afterwards, I ran into Rabbi Gershenfeld, and I shared with him all he thought that I was Moshe Gershenfeld. I told him my name's Moshe. He asked me who I was. I said I'm Moshe Gersht. So he says at the end of the conversation, he said, say hi to your father. So I was like, huh? You definitely don't know my dad. And but then at some point it had revealed itself that I was talking about. I said no Gersh, and so when I told him Gershenfeld the story, he just like started laughing. He was like, okay, you're adopted. And then I said, but tachlis, like lahalacha, like what about chatzos? Like what do you do? Because Rav Aron Feldman says Rebbe, so I said, do you finish everything by chatzos? And he said, Rav Aron finishes everything by chatzos. He said, but Rav Moshe and Rav Aron Cutler, they both would go straight through the night, and they said, you don't finish by chatzos. The ikar is the enthusiasm that Rav Aron was speaking about, and just being osek in the mitzvah of Sibur Yetzias Mitzrayim, and you see that's what the Arba Zakenim in the Abba Talmid Chacham in the Haggadah, they were just like speaking all night in Torah and learning, and like they just kept going. They didn't even realize what time it was, right? So he said they held that was the most important thing. So he said because he has one Rebbe that is super makpid to finish by chatzos, and he has other Rebbeim who are like b'dafka go as late as possible. He makes the Tanai. So and then does the whole thing. So there you have
Rabbi Moshe Shapiro.
Yeah.
What is the Tanai? I'm sorry.
There's a Tanai of the Avnei Nezer, where basically you say, if I'm, maybe we can find it if you want to actually.
If I go past it.
Right, exactly.
And when you say finish the entire Haggadah or like?
Afikomen.
Afikomen.
Yeah. Okay.
That advice of only speaking about what you're passionate about, that's got to be relevant all the time, no?
True. He was saying, he didn't say it, but if you learn what is pshat and sipur, what is a sipur? What's the difference between sipur and amira or dibur? There's a difference. We see it most clearly by Yisro, when Yisro comes, right? Vayishma Yisro, right? Is kol asel Yisrael b'Mitzrayim. He gets there, so he knows what happens. Rashi says, what did he hear? Did he hear about Kriyas Yamsuf? He heard about the Malchus. He heard about the war with Amalek. Fine, he hears about what happens. He gets there, and then like 5 psukim in, it says, Vayisaper Moshe el Chasnav es kol asher asa, right? And he told over the story of everything that happened. And it's like, well, he came because he knew what happened. So what's he doing? So Rashi says he told a sipur because it's makarav the leiv. There's a way to tell over something in such a way that it gets to the heart. He says, and that's what a sipur is. A sipur, it comes from the notion of sapir, to enlighten something, to get to like a brightness around whatever it is that you're talking about. So I think that he was saying sipur Yetzias Mitzrayim is about the light that's connected to the words you're saying, not just information. You're not just telling something. You're not giving over news bites, right? It's the opposite of Twitter. So no emotion, just cold, non-facts.
Maybe the Havamina is coming from the fact that you have a script in front of you, so you might feel meshubed to the words of the Haggadah, needing to be masber everything that's in there.
Right.
Maybe that's what the Havamina is coming to move on.
Yeah, I hear that.
Because I think Morty's point is good. I mean, when would you ever have a Havamina to share things that are not inspiring to you at your table? But if you're meshubed to the Haggadah, maybe you do have to fit in pshat thing. I don't know. I
think Shmuel, you're too special to even say those words. When would you have a Havamina to say something that doesn't totally inspire you?
No, I'm saying if you have.
I'm with you. I'm with you. I've been to one too many tables where that's not necessarily true. People feel chiyuv to share Divrei Torah because it's Shabbos. They have to share Divrei Torah.
Right.
People feel I got to do this. I got to do that. Have you ever been at a table where someone sings a song and like you almost wish they didn't sing it?
Yeah.
You're like, no, don't sing it like that. That's not singing. Right? Like we're not. Leil Seder is not about being Yotzi, and in fact, I think like that bring us back to the page. That'll take us straight in to what this is about, which is there's something deeper that's happening. And I brought from here, if you look under in the Haggadah, you'll see it's really not a mistake. Ma'aseh Rabbi Eliezer, Rabbi Yeshua, Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, Rabbi Akiva, Rabbi Tarfon, Shaya Mesubin, B'Bnei Brak. Hayu misaprim b'yitzias Mitzrayim kol osa halayla ad shebo talmidim v'amru lahem Rabbeinu higiyas makriyash mashashachas. Right, so they were there sitting the whole night doing Sipur Yitzias Mitzrayim until their talmidim came in the morning and woke them up for shachris, and it says kol osa halayla. Right, so obviously, it should have said kol osa halayla. Right, so again, we're calling it male. It's a male night. Okay, this is not patriarchal. This is Kabbalistic. So different energies. So we're saying it's an Oso Halayla. Now here's the fascinating part, and I brought the psukim under it so we can look at them. But could it have possibly been a mistake? Halayla Hazeh, Oso Halayla. Could it possibly have been a mistake? Maybe. But then the most unbelievable thing in the world happens. When you look up Halayla Hazeh in Aleph Tanakh, it only appears once or 3 times in the whole Tanakh, and they're all in the same parak of Yitzias Mitzrayim. It is the only time it ever comes up, where the Torah, when Hashem says Halayla Hazeh, Balayla Hazeh, Balayla Hazeh, Halayla Hazeh, right? These 3 psukim in Shmos, that's it. There's no such thing as Halayla Hazeh, except for this night. This is Halayla Hazeh. There's no such thing. Meaning, and we're going to see the Gra in a second. But when the Gra says, "If you miss this, you've missed it," he's saying, like, you also missed Pshat and Chumash. Like, this is it. This is the only time we're going to call Alayla Azeh. Yeah. Was that a thought, a question I saw coming through your mouth,
No,
or just
no.
an exciting smile?
Yeah,
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and let's just see the psukim so we can see, and it's referencing all the aspects of the night, which is so amazing. But achlo es habasar b'layla hazeh, right? You're going to eat the korban Pesach on this night. Tzli eish, it'll be roasted on the fire. Umatzos al marorim yochlu, right? With matzahs and maror, you're going to eat it. So, boom, the maror and the matzah and the korban Pesach all together on Layla hazeh. Okay, then the ikr of the night, what was the main thing that happened that night right before leaving?
Makas Mecharis.
Makas Bechora. So this is the end of the Eser Makas, Va'avarti be'eretz Mitzrayim, B'layla hazeh, right? And I, referencing Hashem, will pass through the whole land on this night, Hikesi kol bechor be'eretz Mitzrayim, smiting all the firstborns of Mitzrayim, Me'adam ba'ad behema, man and animal, B'chol chelkei, Ub'chol elokei Mitzrayim, E'eser shvatim ani Hashem. Also, B'layla hazeh. And then at the very end of the parak, it says, Leil Shimurim Hula Hashem. It's a night of waiting, Lahotziam for God, Lahotziam Me'eretz Mitzrayim, to take them out of Egypt. Hu Halayla Hazeh La Hashem. Shimurim L'chol B'nei Yisrael Adorasam. This is the Laila, this night, which was for God, which was set aside. It was saved for Klal Yisrael, for all generations. And again, it says L'dorosam, meaning this is not just that night. This is this of this night is always. This isn't always this night, not just the one time. That's why we can always come back and say B'layla. It's a pasuk. It's not a spiral vort that someone says over at a table and says, "Oh, there's this deep idea." It's like this is the pasuk. It's Halayla Hazeh L'dorosam, right? It's always Halayla Hazeh whenever we get to this night.
I can't believe I never made this to you before.
Isn't it unbelievable? It's like you see it.
Right in
So
front of your
obvious.
face.
It's
right here, right in front of your
Right.
face.
Well, when you put it right in front of your face.
No.
No, it's unbelievable. Okay, let's see the Gra start to put this together, and then I've seen the Gra before, but then the B'nai Yissaschar that we'll see afterwards. It's just like wow, just to see everybody come together from the Lithuanian world and the Hasidic world and the Kabbalah world and the every world, and it's so good. Okay, so the Gra, this is in his Agada. Do we want to do a Havamina before we jump in here?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So, thoughts. This is now, you've seen the diuk. The diuk is clear and the diuk is true, right? It's not just a diuk in the Haggadah. This is clear, the Mahalach. It really is Oso Halayla, and it really is Halayla Hazeh. What's Pshat?
I don't have if I answer it's cheating. This is one thing we've been learning is specifically just the Gra on the Haggadah.
Great.
I mean, assuming the Zachar Nekeva are represented by Us and Hashem, and maybe somehow the Geula is like a fusion of that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, we'll see that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Daytime is usually masculine, nighttime is usually feminine. Nighttime is associated with din, daytime is associated with chesed. So this night is a night of chesed,
Yes.
like the day.
Yep. Awesome. All of that. All of that. All of that. And so much more. Wow. Ma nishtana halayla hazeh. Okay. Perush. Ki yom b'chol makom hu lashon zachar.
Oh.
Right. Yom is lashon zachar. V'layla hi nekeva. And Layla is nekeva. So v'im kein hayatzarich lichtov tamid etzel Layla zos kimishpata. It should have said zos. This seemingly is a mistake. Shehi lashon nakvus. Right. Ki vav taf. When you see a vav taf, heim siman nakvus. V'siman zcharim is yud mem. Right. So, meaning he's saying leilos, right? Is what tells me for sure, right? This should be a feminine word. Ulechein lo matzinu b'chol makom. We also find in all places, we don't find a mitzvah la'asos dafka b'layla. Mitzvahs, right? Actions, going out and doing, kum va'aseh, usually we find that to be during the day. It's not a nighttime thing.
We have Sfiras Omer. It's Davka.
Yep, we have Sfiras Omer. That's why I don't know why he says
That's the
b'chol
only one?
makom. What I don't think he means we don't ever find. I think he says we don't find in all places, meaning al pi rov mitzvahs are during the day.
Right.
There's the Mishnah in Megillah that has a whole list of mitzvahs to do at night.
Yeah. That means you have to make a list about it because it's not much. From 613. V'hainu k'mo she'isha p'tura min mitzvahs. V'rov ha-mitzvahs heim la'anashim dafka. Right? Rov mitzvahs are for anashim, not for nashim. So, and this is, again, we're finding here, kachem rov ha-mitzvahs mitzvasim bayom. Here he says it explicitly. Just rov mitzvahs or mitzvah bayom. Dafka v'lo b'layla. He says, and if you understand at its depth, most mitzvahs should be during the day, and if they're at night for a very specific reason. So we have to ask, all the mitzvahs of Leil Seder are at night. Like mitzvahs Pesach is a night mitzvah. And is a weird thing because, okay, there's Pesach. If we're just looking at the regalim, Pesach, Shavuos, Sukkos. The Torah says they're connected Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. Pesach is Avram. So Avram's going to be giving chesed, right? That should be a day thing. It's a light thing. It's not a din. It's not a Yitzchak constricted thing.
Right.
It's not a match. It's chesed. It's Avram. This is like love, right? Ata bechartanu ahavta osanu, right? Ahavta osanu. This is a lashon of ava. So, sorry, this is bachar banav, but it's deep. It's a deeper ava. Sorry, bachar banav, right? This is a Kadosh Baruch Hu literally taking us out of Egypt. So it should be a mitzvah during the day, and yet the ikra mitzvahs of Pesach are night mitzvahs. That's what he's bothered by. Lo matzinu klal shehei ha-mitzvah dafka b'layla v'lo b'yom. We don't find that a mitzvah should dafka be b'layla and not b'yom. Okay, you have to say lav dafka on that. It's not true. Achshav nischayev halayla dafka b'mitzvahs v'lo b'yom. And here we should be bothered because the mitzvahs are dafka at night, alongside the fact that he doesn't say it here, but in another place he points out, over here, women are chayev in the mitzvahs of the night. So women are usually pata from mitzvah shezman grama. Here they're chayev in mitzvah shezman grama. Mitzvahs at night. That's weird. 2, the mitzvahs are dafka at night, and they're not during the day. And of all the times, they should be during the day. And why are we doing mitzvahs dafka at night? And then, of course, coming back from his diuk, where he sets this whole thing going, is why is it halayla hazeh? Right? So, behind him mipnei Nishtana lama. Okay, this is what we've been speaking about a lot all year, right? But ma is a reflection of Shem Hashem, different ways to spell Shem Hashem. This is how you spell Shem Hashem with olives. It's from the two names. There's ma and then there's ben, right? Ben is right. Just as a reminder, these kufs are hays.
What do you mean by two names?
I'm going to show you right now. So, Yud is always spelled the same, Yud Vav Dalid, and that's always gonna equal 20, right? Because Yud is 10, Vav is 6, Dalid is 4, so the Yud's always gonna equal 20. But there's two ways to spell Hey, or there's really three ways to spell Hey. One is with an Aleph, one is with the Hey over here, and then Vav can be spelled Vav Aleph Vav, or just Vav Vav. Okay, so this will bring us to 6 if we go that way, and this will bring us to 10 if we go this way. This will bring us to 13 if we go this way, and it'll bring us to 12 if we go that way. I hope this is going to be clear when it's all said and done. Yeah, and then you can spell this with an Aleph or a Hey, right? So if you go this way, it comes out 6. If you go this way, it comes out 10. So we see how there's different ways to spell the name of Hashem. A Hey could be spelled Hey Aleph or Hey Hey. Yeah, the Vav could be Vav Aleph Vav or just Vav Vav. This Hey could be Hey Aleph or Hey Hey. Yeah. The difference of the spellings, one of them is going to come out to 45, the other one's going to come out to 52. And that's why sometimes you'll see in Sfarim a reference to the Shem Ma. Sometimes you'll see the Shem Ben. They'll refer to them in that way. They're both referencing Hashem, but with different ways to fill in the letters.
Fully express. I mean,
The
what's the
levels of expression, how much is coming through. So this, right, we'll speak it out before we see all these things inside. So we spoke about this earlier in the year a few times, but Ben, right, this is seeing everything through the lens down here in the worlds of Bria, Yetzirah, Asiya. It's seeing the world through a physical lens. That's how we see things. So when we see Hashem, we see the most lowest aspect. It's Keneged Malchus, if that means something for you, right? It's the most outer layer where you don't necessarily see that it connects you all the way back to a deeper reality. So very often it's interchangeable with Elohim for that reason. Like it'll be that expression. Ma, right? Ma is often associated with Tikkun, right? So this is before Tikkun and this will be after Tikkun. Like the whole Tikkun of this world is to elevate how we see reality to something higher. And when you connect to this shame, this is just another way of saying spiritual and physical, right? Like, because everything in this world is a reflection of God, right? But if I only see a table and it ends at a table and I don't see that it stands for something deeper, I don't realize that there's more to life than what I see on the outside, it stays unrefined, it stays unfulfilled, it stays not mitukan, right? When I go to a deeper level, right, of a Shem Hashem over here, which is it's the one spelled with all the Alephs, right? There's an Aleph here, there's an Aleph there, there's an Aleph here, right? It's called Shem HaAlephin. It's connecting back to the source, right? So when I connect everything back to the source, so then I go, everything has a connection back to an Aleph. Everything has a connection back to an Aleph, and that's this idea of Ma. Whereas the other name is actually what's called the Shem Kefel, right? Hey is spelled Hey Hey, Vav Vav Vav. Hey is Hey Hey, which is I see a reflection of something, but I don't see how it connects back up to something deeper. So it's my job to actually go into this world and put an Aleph back to it, connect it back to its source, right? That's why when a person makes a mistake, they make a chet, right? You don't pronounce the Aleph in there because that a person only does a sin when they don't feel connected to their Aleph, right? Right? Chet is ches, tes, Aleph. It should be cheta, right? But you don't pronounce the Aleph because you only did the chet because you weren't connected to your Aleph. But don't think it wasn't there. Right? That's the Baal Shem Tov. Yep.
The other three aren't relevant here. There's these
Two more, but
Avsar and okay.
Yeah, they're not relevant here because those are Purim and Hanukkah Torahs.
Okay.
And this is a Pesach Torah.
Do you mind?
Meaning it's a different revelation.
But there's a direct relationship just between these two. The other.
Yeah. This. Oh, by the way, the other. We could always make it easy for us and say Teva and Nes, or Elohim and Havaya. Obviously, this is an oversimplification because they're all reflections of Shem Hashem. But when we're down here, we're usually dealing with Teva and Elohim. And when we go up, we're saying there's Nes, there's Havaya. Another thing one could do just to help with the understanding is this is your guf, this is your neshama. It's the idea that there's depth, there's more. Whenever we see the word Ma show up in Sfarim, and they're referencing this, they're saying you have to realize there's a source of flow right? This is always going to be flow, is going to be down here. This is going to be mashpia, that's going to be makabel. This is going to be, as we're about to see, zachar, and this will be nekeva, right? That's going to be the shift.
Ben is the cave.
Yeah.
That's fine. When you say
How do you say many daughters?
Banos.
Right. So ben actually means boy and girl. We say bas, but you see that ben actually is for both male and female, and we see that in the plural. Banos.
That's why in Hebrew grammar we can say if there's a group of males and females, you still use the male suffix for plural.
when you say tikkun, I just want to understand what it means. You're saying basically taking that reflection and showing its modus. That's
Connecting to source, exactly. Which is why, right? If we go back to the first shiur that we gave on chachma, which is koach ma, right? And going back to what ma is mahus. That's where mahus comes from. The essence of something, the man-ness of it. What is it? Right. So,
Okay. Tikkun though, meaning like.
well,
It's
yeah.
an interesting one. Meaning
It's now in
tachlis
it's
for
now in alignment. Hava, we keep balloons in the other room. Where's mommy? The question for the ages. Okay. The word tikkun. Targum. Where does he say it? The Targum by. I have to look it up. It means lavush in Aramaic. It means clothing. What does? Takanta. So that if you look at the word takanta in Aramaic translates as lavush in Hebrew, and that is to say, when you're able to receive the depth of something, you put a lavush on it so that you can now have a relationship with it, and it's now mitukan, right? So it's the idea that when you wear sunglasses, you can now go out into a bright sun. You can appreciate the sun because it's not burning your eyes. So sometimes the tikkun comes from covering it up. Sometimes the tikkun comes from revealing it.
I would have thought it was the other way around.
Because it depends contextually. What's going to get you to appreciate the light?
Right.
Whatever can get you to appreciate the deeper light, that's the tikkun. So, and sometimes it's getting rid of it, sur meirah, and sometimes it's asay tov. What's going to get you to the light? Anything that gets you there is the tikkun.
Still, it
Yeah?
should just be hanging around.
Huh?
Not supposed to just be hanging around. There's really stuff.
I think we could do the gematria. I don't remember, but the leshem. I can't do the whole thing in my head, but the leshem says. I think I'm afraid to say it because I haven't done it in a long time. But I think the leshem says the roshe tevos of all the spheros is gematria tikkun. Because that's what you've done. You've made everything work in alignment, and so now you've fixed the world. So we could do it another time.
Okay.
Okay, so with that hakdama, that's what he's trying to say. Mipnei shenishtana lema, meaning the evening is ma oriented. Okay, it's all about. This is, I think in more of our broader, newer language, we'd say it's connecting to your truth, right? The truth. It's the truth, but everybody has your neshama has your truth, which is part of a bigger the truth, right? So, you are free when you're connected to ma. You are enslaved when you only have ben. If you don't see that there's more to who you are and to the world, you are slave to the world, right? That's what comes out, right? This is why. Right, Kenny spoke about this at his son's bris. Moshe, the outer letters of Moshe's name are Mem and Hey, because he's revealing Ma in the world. Right, that's what he's doing here. Mayim, water, is, the Maharal says, the purest expression of Gashmias. It has absolutely no form, and therefore it will take on whatever form you put it in. It's like a millennial. Don't worry, I'm a millennial too. So, if you put it in a cup, it takes the shape of a cup. If you put it in a pot, it'll take the shape of the pot. Whatever you put the water in, that's where it goes. It doesn't stand for anything particular. That's what it means. Moshe was mishisihu min hamayim. He was completely not water oriented. He was completely pulled from water, where most of us are kind of somewhere between water and having purpose. He was no water at all. Completely separate from waterness. He was mishisiu min hamayim. He's not waterness at all.
Wow.
So he was not in the world of Ben, he was Kulo Ma, right? And that's why he was able to bring this revelation into the world. He was like the pure Zachar of the door, in that sense. That's why he's Mashpia. But who sowed Adam, right? Which of course is so amazing. What does it mean? Who sowed Adam? It's Gematria Adam, right? Which he's not going to say it here, but now that we already did the Hakdama, what's the Gematria of Behema?
Ben. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Let's go finish on.
that's right. So he's saying, Ma is when you're connecting to the Adam of who you are, connecting to the Zachar side of who you are, connecting to the Nes, the Mashpia, the godliness of who you are, the truth. That's the essence of an Adam, right? When you're not that, you're like Kula Behema. That means you're only having the parts of God that go down into the lowest parts of who you are, right? That's what it means.
It still connects to God. It's interesting.
You can't not be connected to God. That's what we're saying. Even at the lowest level, it's a reflection of God. That's why even Behema and Caleb, which is also Gematria Ben and all these things, all of that stuff is still a reflection of God in this world. You can't take away from that. But it's completely unrefined. It's not mitukan. I'm in the middle of this. You can't say what? Thanks, mommy. Everything to mommy. Yep. Okay. Aval halayla, who sowed Chava, right? Laila is generally going to be Chava, which is so awesome. Just we'll do this for the sake of this, right? If we get it right, I think it's this way, right? This. Right, so we said there's different ways to spell Shem Hashem. So the world of Ma, right, which is Adam, what are we saying? So what's left over are these letters, Vav Daled, which is
10,
Aleph,
11, 12,
Aleph and a Vav.
17.
Wait, is that right?
19.
18, and then this last one will make it 19. Gematria Chava. Right, Chava is always hidden
18.
within Adam. Adam and Chava are one, right?
It's actually pulled out of his rib.
That's right. This is being pulled out of his rib. That's what it means. Yud Kei Vav Kei of Ma. When you spell that out, Chava's on the inside with the whole thing together is Adam. It's about Tikkun, putting it back together. Very, very good.
Wow.
Yes, I know.
Very good.
Very, very, very good. So when you only have the inside, but it's not connecting you back up to Yud Kei Vav Kei, so you have Chava. That's night. Just the inside, without the Yud Kei Vav Kei. Meaning, if you add the Yud Kei Vav Kei, it's Adam. If you take away the Yud Kei Vav Kei, what's left is Chava.
Right.
That's darkness. That's night, because I don't see how it's connected to God.
Leil, not Leil.
Lila. Well, no, night. The whole night.
Okay, fine.
Night. We'll call it night.
Night.
Yeah. And he says, and there's a Mefurish pasuk like this, right? And that's he says it. He just says it quick. Aval Laila who sowed Chava ne'elam shel Ma, right? The hidden part of Ma. So he expects you to know that's what it means. Besod, it's a pasuk in Tehillim. V'layla l'layla yechave das, right?
Wow.
Okay. V'chein hamitzvos einam rak l'zcharim. Generally, all mitzvahs. When we say the mitzvahs, he means all mitzvahs are shaykh to zcharim. V'nekevos are peturim, right? Are usually patur from mitzvahs that are shaykh to time. Dugmas halelos, like the nights. V'zeu shehik shalama nishtana halayla sheyechava. That's the question. Why did this night, which is generally a Chava-oriented thing, change? And the answer is machmas shenishtana lema, right? This is still part of the question. Why did the night, which is normally a Chava, a night, a female-oriented thing, v'hainu machmas shenishtana lema? I have a question because I see that it's now ma-oriented because I see mitzvahs tonight. I see it's like a mitzvah night. Mikol halelos shehein nekevos. Why did it change from all other nights, which are usually nekevos, which are usually women are patur from mitzvahs, usually no mitzvahs dafka at night, and I don't understand why this whole thing changed. Kolomar mipnei ma nischayva halayla hazos b'mitzvahs yoser mikol halelos. Why does this night have mitzvahs more than other nights? V'zeh hakushi b'klalios. He's making it simple. This is the simple thing. V'achshav mefarish b'fratus ha-mitzvahs she'alayla hem nischayv b'hem sheb'chol halelos. Now he's going to go through all the examples where we see everything is different. So he says this kind of a sweeping, deep Kabbalistic idea, but just let's summarize it and bring it like here for a moment. He's saying, I see this night is different. I see number one, the Haggadah is specific. It's calling it Halayla Hazeh. I see there's all the mitzvahs are at night when they're normally not at night. I see that even nashim are chayiv in mitzvahs at the night. When I see that, he says, I should have the question inside of me, why did this night, which is normally a chava thing, right, a ben thing, why is it a ma thing now? Why is it a more yom oriented? Why is it more zachar oriented? It's normally not that way. That's his simple way of saying this is what we should all be asking when we get to the Seder. He said it seems to be like it's like a day, but it's not. And he says, and I'm going to give you a bunch of examples, and those examples are the rest of the Nishtana. Yeah?
Doesn't the Gemara already explain why the Nashim are chayav that night?
Yeah.
So this is another explanation?
Yeah, it's saying al pisod. Yeah, saying al pisod. There's a Gzeira Shava over there, right?
And that's why Rav Moshe said it's you missed the whole thing if you didn't get this pshat, because you don't know what the
You don't even
question
know
is
what-
you're asking.
Yeah,
You don't have pshat of the question.
The question, the question is because the Laila is there.
Right.
That is the question. He's
Right.
saying, Manishtana, that the Laila is there. That is how you read the words.
Right.
Manishtana, halayla hazeh.
Right. It's not declarative here. It's not demonstrative. It's descriptive.
Yeah.
It's not halayla hazeh this night. It's halayla, which is already this night. Hazeh, which is taking.
We call
the form of
Haleilos.
call
All
it
the
Leilos.
nights are
We call
Leilos.
Leilos.
And this is Hazeh.
Right.
I don't get it. What's going on? This is like a day night. Right? Or a night day.
Wow.
Isn't it interesting how like this super deep, maybe the deepest part of the night is the same part that's sung by the youngest children in such a
Next page. Let's go. Let's do it. Amazing. Yeah? So on the right is the Gra continued, but we'll see the left first, which is, I just didn't get a chance to put on top of it. This is the Bnei Yissaschar
On the
on the left.
Okay.
Bnei Yissaschar in his Maimarim on Nisan, Chodesh Nisan. I think this is Maimer Hay.
So you said B'nai Yissaschar?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, this is so amazing. Oh. Okay, Nahagu betfutzos Yisrael lasos ner miyuchad l'seder leil Pesach. There's a minhag to light a special candle in some sects of Judaism. V'korino so ner Nishtana, and they call it the Nishtana candle. B'lashon Ashkenaz in Europe they called it Nishtana licht, the Nishtana licht. The time of boy, we need to understand what's pshat in some group of people lighting a candle, and you gotta love the Bnei Yissaschar, because he's like, some people started lighting a candle, they call it the Nishtana candle. It's like, but it became a minhag in Yisrael. We have to understand there's a secret here, right? This is what Rav Volbe said, that if a person wants to find the secret of anything, look at the minhagim, because that's where like all soda has been hidden, because it's just a minhag. I'm not going to look there. He says that's what it means, minhag Yisrael kadeshu. Like look at the minhagim. That's where you're going to find the secrets.
Wow.
The time of it needs a tam. Kilo davar reiku minhag Yisrael toirahu. Right? It's not empty. If it's minhag Yisrael, it's Torah. V'hanira lomar al pi mashikasav harav hamakubal bal bris kahunas olam. So, al shem the bal bris kahunas olam. He says there's a deep idea. Al shelas haben sheshoa baloshan manishtana halayla hazeh. Ki b'chol halaylos b'chol hashana haina layla. All year night hu b'chinas nukva. Which it's the night is nukva, it's nekeva, it's feminine. Shem ben, right? So here he spells it out a little bit more for us. Bayom is a chibur hadchura, which is ma. The day is when you take ben and you connect it back up to ma, right? It's connected to a deeper thing. What's the chibur of ma and ben? When you put ma and ben together, you get nikra zman b'misparo. Time is first creation. It's the relationship between a ma and a ben. That's this world. That is all of life happens in time, and time is a connection between ma and ben. If you have ma on its own, meaning ben on its own, the world would collapse because it's not connected to its shoresh. Ma on its own, it would just be atzilus. We wouldn't even be in a time-space reality. We'd be in a God reality. When you take godliness and you put it into physicality, you get time, right? That's why it's the first creation. What's the first creation? What's the first word? Erashis, in the beginning. That's the first mimer. First thing that was created was there's Erashis. There's time. So, V'hine, Halayla hazeh ne'emar b'Torah, right? This that we say halayla hazeh, he points out that it's in Torah. Misparo ma ben. Halayla hazeh is actually gematria ma and ben together. Ki halayla hazeh nishtana mikol halaylos shemischaber ma ima ben. It says the reason why halayla hazeh is gematria ma ben is because it is different from all other nights, which are usually only ben. But on halayla hazeh, we're going to be connecting to ma, which we don't normally get. We normally don't get the world of ma, a world of clarity, of light, of spirituality, of miracles, of loving chesed, of clarity is the right word, of like real clarity at a time of darkness, right? That's usually reserved for the day, right? So daytime, he says, is ma with the ben. There's ben, there's physical reality, but it's more clear. I have clear vision when I'm connected to something deeper. That's ma and ben. But at night, it's usually I just get ben. He says, halayla hazeh is gematria, ma and ben together, because it's actually like a day, right? So this night is different.
Is that what, when you said, just sort of a side point, when you mentioned at the beginning that the Torah could have started by Chodesh, that's the same time implementation, meaning the same like Bereshis is the beginning of time, and Chodesh is also time?
I didn't think about it like that, but that does make sense. That's interesting. That's interesting. Yeah, I guess if we would have started with the Chodesh Hazeh, we would also know that time is essential to this whole conversation that we're having as life. So now he's going to make this amazing diuk, right? So far so good in this piece, right? He's just telling us why they lit these candles, and he's going to say, then he goes into this deep idea of what's going on in the Nishtana. And then he says the most amazing thing, V'al kein haben shoel Nishtana halayla hazeh. He says, go back to the Mishnah, and it says, Mazgu lo kos sheni v'kan haben shoel aviv. This is where the son asks, V'im ein das ben aviv malam do ma nishtana. He says, you have to really read it. V'kan haben, and here the ben, which is the bechina of nighttime on its own, is shoel. It's connecting to its abba, to something deeper. Abba is always chachma, right? And the answer is ma nishtana alayla hazeh. Ma, right? The ma is what changes the night to zeh.
That's crazy.
Right? So this night is all about connecting to this deeper reality, which is normally hidden, and you only get it in times of revelation, which are metaphorically daytime. And here, in a metaphorical night, right, 210 years of slavery, the night turned to day. And that's Geula, which shouldn't surprise you. Geula is gematria.
Ma.
Yeah. Gimel, Aleph, Vav, Lamed, Hey. Right? So, Geula is when you go up there and you connect to this deep place. That's what it's all about, is that you're not stuck down here anymore. You're connected to your shorish. And now instead of being a behema, you're being an adam. You're connecting to the godliness of what it means to be a human being. You're not just going with the flow of life without thinking deeper about everything that this world is. So far, so good. So good. So good. Now, he goes on a little bit earlier in this piece under it. We'll just go to the piece under where it says V'chule. He says, now this should answer another question we should all have. How often do we say halal at night?
No.
Never. Hu halayla hazeh. Sha'alayla nikra b'lashon d'chura zeh. Al kein yesh b'halal shalom. Right? Again, all the differences of the night are because, and we haven't seen anybody say it inside yet, but everybody says it. It's not night. It is day. For all intents and purposes, when he says it's ma, it's zachar, we're going into the night, and you get there, and the sun's still out spiritually. Right? That's what's happening at night. It's a d'chura. It's a lashon zachar. It's a yom. Normally we don't say that. We're saying no. This is yom. Halayla hazeh. It's a ma ben. It's a gematria of zman of the day. Right? That's what he's trying to tell us over here.
Is that connected historically to when we left Mitzrayim? That we say we left by day? I don't know the...
That's another Mitzrayim.
Yes. Let's go to the Gra. Thank you guys for being perfect. This is so good. So, okay, now the Gra goes over here, and later on in the Arba Banim, so at some point we read Ba'abur Zeh Asa Hashem Li B'Tzeisi Mi Mitzrayim, right? It's an answer to the Tam. So on that, Oh, and what's the raya? I don't have a Haggadah in front of me, but he brings from V'higata lebincha. You have to tell your son. Bayom hazeh. What's the verse? Bayomahu lemor. What's the verse? Bavur zeh asa Hashem lebiteisim Mitzrayim. No. Bavur zeh. That's right. Bayomahu bavur zeh asa Hashem li. And the Gemara makes a drasha bavur zeh, right? Which what does bavur zeh mean? It means I have to be able to point to
When
it.
matzahs and mar
Munafim lefenecha. Good.
Right.
Okay. When are wait, let me ask everybody a question. When are matzahs and mara munafim lefenecha?
At night.
Right. V'yigarat lebincha bayom. Babur zeh is
At night.
At night.
achshav hu metaretz akushya rishona shama nishtana halayla hazeh mikol halaylas. V'hainu shehalayla hazeh nischayev mitzvos mikol halaylos. Why is this night chayev and mitzvos more than other nights? Keeping it simple for us. Shekol halaylos ein mechuyavim mitzvos. Most nights don't have mitzvos. Mefar shekasuv kara es halayla hazeh yom hahu. We are in a day. We are not at night. It's not that this night is special because some nights are like this and this night's like that. It's this night's different because this night's a day. If you miss this diuk, you missed Leil Seder, literally. Kamosha, because there's no such thing as Leil Seder. Kamosha kasav he got it telebincha bayom ahur ba'avur zeh. Amar, like the Medrash says, Yachol mi Rosh Chodesh. Maybe I should start saying the Haggadah over from Rosh Chodesh, which is a different. Let's just stop here and take a moment for this. Why would I have thought to start from Rosh Chodesh? Bayomahu. Why would I have thought Bayomahu is Rosh Chodesh?
Oh, what Aaron said? Yom hazeh?
No. Oh, maybe. I didn't have that Havamina. HaChodesh hazeh lachem, maybe. A bunch of stars, but the one I'm thinking about is the Maggid HaMezrich says Nisan is called Aviv, and Aviv is written Aleph, Beis, Yud, Beis, right? Aviv, right? Which is the letters in order, yeah? And Tishrei are letters backwards, Taf, Shin, Resh, right? Yud. So he says that the month of Nisan is the month of Seder. There's a Zohar that says the month of Nisan is the month of Seder, right? So we have Leila Seder. He says, but people don't realize the whole month is Chodesh HaSeder, right? It's the month of getting back in order, which if you're into this kind of thing, every month has a certain permutation of Hashem's name. You see it in Musaf, right before Musaf of Rosh Chodesh, it like lists all these different ways of how Hashem's name is spelled. And Nisan is the only one that's Yud Kei Vav Kei. It's the world in order. Because Nisan is the month of revelation. It's the month of actually seeing the world in order. Yachol mi Rosh Chodesh, because already from Rosh Chodesh, we've entered this man of revelation and seeing the world in order. Right? That's what he's saying. But then we say no. Yachol mi bod yom. Maybe I should do it during the day. And the answer says no. It says ba'avur zeh. Lo amarti ela b'shah sheyesh matzah u'amar munafim lechvanecha. Right? Only when they're there. V'zeh dafka b'layla. K'mo shekasav be'erev tochlu matzos. Are you allowed to take in early Pesach? No. Mitzvah d'oraisa, right? You have to, the actual mitzvah start, you can take on the Kedusha, but you actually can't start Leil Seder till night, right? The Shulchan Aruch, Tough Ayin Beis, you can't start Kiddush until Laila Mamish, right? Can't do it early. No such thing. That's interesting. Why do I have to start at night? Because then you wouldn't realize the Kiddush of the night, which is that there is no night. If you started during the day, you'd be like, well, it's still day. No. You have to start at night. Why? Because there's no night. Because of Kara es halayla, Yom Hahu. L'chein halayla is chayev b'mitzvahs. That's why there's all these mitzvahs. That's why Nashim are chayev. That's why it's a zman she'ein zman. Ki ein la b'chinas layla klal. Ein la b'chinas layla klal. There's the Gra who says it as clearly as day. There is no night of the Seder. Leil Seder is a myth. Is that not like unbelievable? That's so geschmack. Okay. Okay, quick thoughts, questions, responses before we dive any more deeper into this. Good, clear, day.
I wonder if this has something to do with Ron Feldman and other people who hold that you have to finish by Chatzos. If we're saying that the night's now day, and we're saying before that Leil is the dark part of the night, and then once you get Lila, it's the night going out. is it like now the opposite, where like the day is starting to go out once we hit Chatzos, and it's almost like it's ending, so we have to finish before then, and just trying to connect it back.
Maybe. I did try to think about where all the connections exist over there, and there's a lot of machlokim and chazal about this evening and connected to all this language, but I didn't find anything that was like super clear. So no clear mahalach. Okay. So hopefully we have to start bringing it back home, because what's our avoda when you get to a night and the night is day? What does that mean for us, Lamaisa?
Yeah.
And this whole thing is really based on a yesod that we didn't bring over here, but it'll be reflected in maybe this piece that we see, which is, why is Pesach called Pesach?
Skipped over that.
Yeah, passed over, right? So, spiritually speaking, what was the Passover? What was Asher Pasach Avatayim?
Like that we were Nuntes, Memtes, Share, Toma, and we became Nigal, not despite that.
Exactly,
Jumping.
right? Kadosh Baruch Hu looked beyond our failings, right? Looked beyond all the things that were low. We did not deserve to leave. This had nothing to do with us, right? This is not our time, actually. This is all mitzad Hashem. The whole thing is mitzad Hashem. That's why, Al Pi Kabbalah, it says that the Arizal says normally you have to have mochen de katnos before you get to mochen de gadlus. You have to start with something small before you expand into something big. And on Leil Seder, the whole opening is mochen de gadlus, right? Which means that normally we have to do something from below to awaken something from above. Here, there's nothing you can do to awaken it. It's awake, right? It starts from above, right? That's exactly why the very next day we start working 49 days, because now we want to work to receive and achieve the inspiration that we had. That was a gift. So the gift is given on Leil Seder. And what's the gift? If you tried to ask a question when you don't have das, you're probably not even going to get the question right, and you're certainly not going to hear the answer. So I have to give you das for a moment. I have to basically like lead you in and then let go for you to. It's kind of the idea of like, first you have to hold your kids' hands a little bit as they start to learn to walk, and then you let go. You can't just say, now get up and start, and if you fall, I'll pick you up. They can't even get up. They can't start. That's Leil Seder, that's Pesach, that's the Geula. The Geula is a Pesach. It's a dilug, right? You have to go over steps, and then we'll go back. It's called an Isarusa de la Ela, an awakening from above. Normally, Al Pi Kabbalah and Pshat in life is we have to do something from below to deserve something above that we're not going to do. I like the way he sets it up over here.
That's what talks about this in his Pesach, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Tat's really popularized this idea too.
Of Mochen
Or
Katnas,
Rishon
Mochen
or
Gadlus.
Sheni, the 3 steps of
This,
inspiration,
before Shavuos.
inspiration, realization. Yeah.
There you go. So, and that's this. This is
Step 1.
you're getting day. You should be stepping into the night. You're not getting night. I'm actually going to give you all the light right in the beginning. And that's why, right, the Ramban says, what's the last day of Pesach?
Shavuos.
Shavuos. The Ramban says the last day of Pesach is Shavuos, and everything in between Pesach and Shavuos is Chol Hamoed. Right? So, because
How is that
the
connected to
tachlis, the light of Leil Seder, you don't really get till you get to Shavuos. That because what was the cherus? Ein ben choron elami she'osik b'Torah, right? So the Shavuos is where now we're free. We weren't really free till we got there. The purpose of leaving Mitzrayim is to get to the light that you can receive. In the beginning, you can't really receive it. That's why the Ikar Avod of the night is going to be wanting to be free, wanting to live that life. That's all you can really do. That's the clue you can have, is to try to get yourself excited about it, to be inspired. That is to be free, to let go of all these other things, which is I'm forgetting right now one of the Svarim in the Hasidic Svarim. I forget which one I was reading. It says it's a weird thing that we have this Seder plate. The Seder plate's a Seder plate. A chefza in a Jewish home. You have to have a Seder plate. And you put all of the simanim on a Seder plate. We don't have a Purim plate. We don't have a Shavuos plate. We don't have
Shoshana plate.
We don't have plates for any other days, right? We have a Seder plate. Why is that? Because that's all we can do tonight is try to create a kli to catch all the light that's coming in. Because we're not making the light. We're not doing much avoda. We're just be here now. Be with that. The joy, which is the ma, right? Ma is being present. Like, just be present with the light, be excited about the light, be inspired with the light, and try to find the things that you're excited about that you're going to work on for the next 50 days as you move towards Kabbalah Satorah, right?
When you say it's this whole idea of Pesach, and you're saying that's the mod, you're getting it for free, and you're just a cleat.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next 49 days, like Roman says, until Shavuos is going to be the actualization of that.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning, but it's two-pronged questions. One is the actual Kabbalah Torah. How is that related to basically our achievement of what happened on Pesach? And two is, what did we do in those 49 days where we actually deserved Pesach?
Tikkun HaMiddos.
That's what the Ishacha.
Derech Eretz Kadmon LaTorah.
All those 49 days.
Derech
Tikkun
Eretz.
HaMiddos?
Derech Eretz.
And then we got. Shouldn't we have not gotten the Torah then? Shouldn't we have been free for all time? Shouldn't there have been like a Geula Mamish on that day?
It was. Had they not done the Egel, that was it. They were going to receive the Luchos and go into Yisrael, and Mashiach comes and it's over. Yep.
Wow.
And then we messed that up, and it's been a long journey. Yes, exactly.
Wow.
Yes, free.
Right.
Yeah.
This idea of the night being Ma and this idea of just it's just nace and coming to us, and it's not about us, it's not about physicality. It's like it's so perfectly reflected also the difference between Ma and Ben, like the difference between 52 and 45 being 7, right? Ma being like not needing that 7, not needing those steps, just the actual just like sending down the light. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. It's the light above the world. Within, above, right? It's the miraculous light, and therefore it's going to be above. It's 7 above. Yeah.
Super now.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, now.
Absolutely.
Well, it's a smaller number.
Huh?
It's a smaller number. The Ha'ars, it's the smaller number.
It's specifically it's 7 less, meaning Nace Ma is specifically 7. Like it's the same as Ben minus 7, and usually like 7 it represents, as far as I understand, completion physical, but also the 7 lower Sephiros, and then you have the just the ideas, just the spirituality, and it seems like that's what part of Ma, part of Nace, part of this idea, and part of this night is that there is no steps. It's not about this natural physical world. It's just Hashem looks like.
These are the mochen, right? In those terms, in Kabbalistic terms, the Ma is going to be the mochen, and the Ben is going to be the midos and the guf, right down here. So that's why you have that separation between them. And it's more gas, it's more physical, it's further away from the aleph, right? But this is.
So it's not, when we call it tikkun, it's not really the meshing of physicality and spirituality. It's just the spiritual underpinning.
No, it is the meshing, but it's recognizing and anchoring and sourcing from the spiritual underpinning. Meaning, because we're not trying to obliterate the world.
Right.
Not trying to obliterate.
Right. That's not for religion. Yeah.
Right. We want to take the Gashmias and we lift it up, and that's why other things.
Okay, fair.
So I still am getting stuck on the third stage being Torah. Yeah, and I understand the Eretz Kadmon Torah, and we got, but the Torah is supposed to be this instruction manual for life, but basically life was about to be, we'll call it quote unquote over as we know it, the next day into the Kedegel. So why is the massive prize of achievement of what we?
Life wouldn't have been over. We would have returned to Gan Eden with Adam and Chava. There was a lot of Avdel Shamra. The whole reality over there.
But learning, the ox course ashore, that's in Gan Eden.
No, but there wouldn't have been. Is a different type of Torah that we would have had we made it all the way to Eretz Yisrael.
But we got the Torah before the Chet Egel.
We didn't get it.
We didn't get it.
We had Gilui from Shemayim, but we actually never got the Torah yet, right?
So the Torah we have is a 2.0 Torah?
Yeah.
Maybe I have the days mixed up, but we went up, right? Moshe went up, and then he got the Luchos.
Right, which we never got.
We never saw, right? But
right,
I thought
because we never received the Torah, right? Maisa.
Right, but I thought those luchos were the same. Now it was just inscribed by Moshe when he came down the second time.
Okay, long conversation.
Okay,
This is
fine.
Shavuos conversation.
Okay, fine. Okay, fine. But just for the big picture, we're saying is that the Torah that we would have gotten up there would have been the actualization.
It's deeper than the words you look. That's not what Torah really is. Torah is not simply the words on the page and the ideas that we learn. Torah is the shift and connection to God that one has. It's a light. So yes, it would have manifested differently on paper. I mean, there wouldn't have been a Sefer Vayikra,
Right.
or Bamidbar, or Devarim. I mean, like, it's a different reality. Maybe we would have started from a Chodesh Zelachem. I don't know, right? Like, there was no such thing as a Chumash.
Right.
So yes, it would have certainly been different, without question.
So its purpose now, because still obviously Shavuos is a very powerful blueprint on our Judaism as we know it, is that when we connect to Torah, are we connecting back to Pesach but on our own?
I didn't fully understand your question. I know that the way that the Leshem explains it is there's something called Torah de Bria and Torah de Atzilus, and we lost the higher Torah of de Atzilus, and what we're working with is Torah de Bria. And when we're metaking everything, we'll be zocheh to a deeper Torah.
But what I meant is that when Pesach happened, we got all that for free. We got the Ma'or, Kli, and then Torah was supposed to be, and we'll call it Torah Atzilus, like you said, is supposed to be the experience of what we experienced on Pesach, but earned, ours, whatever that means, an exponential.
I mean, we could use all those words, but most importantly, it's not even just earned or ours. It's that you have a kli to actually hold it. It's not just a fleeting inspiration. At the end of the day, whenever you're just really quickly inspired, it's a bechin of Leil Seder.
Right. So it's ours, meaning like you said.
You have a kinyan on it, to some
that's a good
degree.
way to put it.
You have a kli for it.
Right.
You can take it with you.
So now that we have that,
Yeah.
meaning to some extent, maybe it's a lesser version of that, shouldn't it be that once we tap into Torah and we're osek with Torah, that we're actually tapping into what we experienced on Pesach?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. Which of course, what are all the banim? We're not going to see it here, but there's arba banim, and it says Chacham, Mahu Omer, Rasha, Mahu Omer, Tam, Mahu Omer, right? Neshenu Dei Shul doesn't have anything to say, but the depth of that is that they were all saying what was true for them. Right? A Chacham, his ma, that's what's going to come out. He was saying his ma, right? The Rosh is saying his ma. Like they're saying what they're connected to. And that's why the answer to the Chacham is, we have to turn left. The Rosh is, we have to knock your teeth out, right? Because your truth isn't going to work, right? What you're connected to in your depth is corrupted, right? So we have to fix that, right? For you, so you could live fully. Because had you been there, you would have never made it out. You are not really shaykh to all these higher madrigas, right? That's really what the night is about. Just I want to see this piece here. I know we're a drop late. I mean, you guys tell me in terms of time. Like
I have another 5 minutes or so.
yeah. So let's do this, and then maybe what I'll do is I'll point you in the direction of what you're looking at over here, and then you could take it with you. Obviously, we need more time, but I could not let you go without these marmakomos so that you can enjoy them. Okay, in Bnei Bechor. Okay, Bnei Bechor Yisrael. Alkein Hashem Yisbarach dileg ala Pesach. Kamo shebir harav Rav Baruch mimeshbuj, one of the Hasidic Rishonim. Shebemeshech kol yemos hashana Hashem Yisbarach omer levnei Yisrael. Normally Hashem says to Klal Yisrael, Pischu li Pesach kechudo shel machet. Make me an opening the size of a needle. V'ani eftach lachem Pesach kepischo shel ulam, and I will make that opening as wide as a hall. We need to do something first from below. Before we get an awakening from above, which is ha'alasman kodem yiridas mad. Okay. Ach b'yitzias Mitzrayim Hashem Yisbarach dileg al haPesach. He wants to make a drasha. Normally we have to be poschin Pesach, right? Kechudo shel machat, that little opening. So you don't even need to make a little opening. Shahayu tzrichim b'nei Yisrael liftoach. Normally you have to open up a little bit of a Pesach. V'ga'alam mitzido. This time it's different. HaKadosh Baruch Hu takes us out. We get geula from above. L'lo yisurusa dilatata, because we got the mochin de godless before the mochin de katnas. Nimtza shekol yitziyasem mitzrayim. Haisa rak b'yisurusa dilaela mitzad ratzon Hashem. All of Yitzias Mitzrayim is leaving with an awakening from above mitzad ratzon Hashem. Okay, let's just point out a few things as we look at the rest of these pages, and one day we'll set this up longer.
Not one day.
So all day. Okay, this piece over here in Likutei Halachos is just pointing out that when it says Hashem was va'avarti be'eretz Mitzrayim, when belayla hazeh, what does it mean va'avarti? He says, look at the Targum over there, that it means ve'isgalis, and I was revealed, right? Which means that what happened on that night, belayla hazeh, means the light of God was revealed in Mitzrayim, and that's why it's called Halayla Hazeh. That's what he points out over here.
Revolbi develops that, right? In his piece on Pesach, that it was just a revelation, and that's Memela, the people who were Shayach, got with it. Everyone got with it.
Yep. It's this exactly the end. Over here, he's going to point out that's what killed the Mitzrim. Wasn't like, because it says Hashem b'chvodo ba'atzmo, not a malach, not a saraf, not a shliach, right? Like Hashem's going around killing people, and so he explains over here, no, Kadosh Baruch Hu didn't kill anybody. It's just there was so much light that they died. Like it's just they saw God. It's over, right? Okay, this Revolbi piece he just points out that on the psukim it says v'kacha tochlo, so this is how you eat it. It should have said v'chein tochlo, so kacha is gematria ma. Right? Sorry, the Revali piece. Okay, this is awesome and amazing and makes so much sense. And we can go through it. This page there's a Gemara in Tainus, there's a Marsha, the Shla, and a Maharal. Really amazing. But basically, it's coming to explain Kol Hamarbe L'Saper B'Yitzias Mitzrayim Hare
Meshubach.
Hare Zeh Meshubach. Hare Zeh Meshubach.
Hare Zeh Meshubach.
Right. What is Hare Zeh Meshubach? The Shla says, who's Meshubach, by the way? If you're speaking Seder Mitzrayim, the speakers should be Meshubach. It says the Shla Hare Zeh Meshubach, speaking about Hashem. You're expanding Hashem in the world the more you speak in the world, which is again Zeh is always a reference back to a Kadosh Baruch Hu, and that's this Gemara in Tainus and this Marsha and the Shla and this Maral. And you go through that. Okay, and then this next page that starts with Shmos is going through the Psukim, just speaking about why is it called Leil Shimurim. There's really two mahalchim. One is Shimur can mean
Yeah, I
guarded.
noticed you translated it very interestingly.
Huh?
You said waiting or something.
Yeah. Shimur could come from Lashon of Shamur, like it's being saved, or like Yaakov was Shamar as a davar, Mamtin umitzape, he was waiting, anticipating for it. So the pasuk actually says Leil Shimurim twice. It says Leil Shimurim hu Hashem, and then it says La Hashem Shimurim. Right? Leil Halayla Hazel La Hashem Shimurim. So there's two mahalchim. If you look at Rashi on the pasuk, one of them is going to be Hashem was waiting for this time always, and it doesn't just mean, as you'll see later on in here, he was waiting just for Leil HaSeder. It's that every year and always Kadosh Baruch Hu was waiting for the time when it's going to be day at night, which is Geula, waiting for Geula, and every year it's like that. And there's all these midrashim that say every year on Leil HaSeder Nisim happen. Nisim happen to tzaddikim because it's a day of Nisim, it's a day of Ma, it's a day of Zachar, right? And then the other pshat is obviously it's Shamur from Mazikim, because when it's day, so there's no Mazikim, there's no dangers. So, right?
Got it.
Okay, Ravali speaks that out over here. Likutei Halachos and the Chaim V'Chesed are basically going to say the same thing. You appreciate them; they're very beautiful. They're going to say the light of the night is just recognizing Hakadosh Baruch Hu in your life. Seeing how everything works together. And this last piece at the top is Rav Motel Zilber. He just speaks it out as clear as possible that this night is the day, the night is the day, the night is the day. It's really nice, beautiful way of how he expresses it. And then the final piece over here is just the medrash that speaks out. So if it really is day, and the medrash basically speaks it out and asks, so then why is it called Leil HaSeder? Right? Why do we still refer to it as night? It's a special night, just call it day. And he says because at the end of the day, it was the miracle was passing. Right? It didn't last forever. We didn't go to a Geula Shlema. So because it's not a Geula Shlema, it's still Leil HaSeder. He said, but La'asid Lavo, it's mamash going to be a day that has no night. And there's a pasuk, V'haya yom echad hu yivad el Hashem, lo yom v'lo laila. Right? V'haya la'etz erev yiyeh or. The closer we get to erev, it's going to be light. Right? So that's what happens in the end. That's going to be for the Geula Shlema. And again, in the Likutei Halachos, he speaks that out. So those are some signposts as you work through the rest of these pages.
Why didn't they leave at midnight?
Huh?
Why didn't they leave at midnight then? Why did they have to wait till actual sunrise?
Can you pass me?
Which one?
Hold on, we'll pause this here.
Bloody chance of it. I don't know.